Easy English Conversation Podcast.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to Easy English Conversation, your daily companion for English and life. I'm Sophia.
And I'm James. Really happy to be here today, especially because something happened this morning and I need to talk about it with you all.
You walked in with that face today. I noticed.
Okay, so let me explain. I sent a work email, and I called the person by the completely wrong name. His name is Marcus, and I wrote, "Hi, Daniel."
Daniel came out of nowhere?
Nowhere! And I noticed like 40 seconds after sending. 40 seconds, Sophia. And I have been thinking about it for 2 hours.
Still rewriting the email in your head?
I'm on version 6. Version 6 is really good. Marcus, or Daniel, will never see it, but it's good.
Here's the thing, though. The email is done. Marcus has it, but your brain didn't get that memo.
My brain is fully still in that email. Editing, resending, explaining myself to a man who has probably already moved on with his life.
And I think a lot of us know that feeling. You make a small mistake. It's done. It cannot be undone. And your brain just keeps going back.
Like it genuinely believes that if it replays it enough times, it'll find a different ending.
Which is exactly what we're talking about today. Not the mistake, what we do with it after.
So I accidentally planned the episode?
You really did. We're talking about self-criticism today. Not the kind that helps you grow, but the kind that just keeps replaying the same moment on a loop.
If your brain has ever done this to you, you're going to recognize a lot of what we talk about today.
The vocabulary today is a little richer. B1 to B2. But honestly, the feeling of it is pretty universal. And if you're A2, just come back to the parts that felt fast. That's what replays are for.
And if you like what we do here, subscribe and leave us that comment.
For the comments today, we want to know, what's the smallest mistake you've spent the most time thinking about? Daniel level specifics, please.
The bar has been set. Let's go.
Okay, so the Daniel email is fresh. But James, you told me something a few weeks ago that I keep thinking about. The Thursday meeting, right?
Oh no. Yeah. I made a joke that landed completely wrong, and I could feel it the second it left my mouth. That specific silence after, where everyone is very carefully looking at their notebooks, and that was a Thursday.
And you were still thinking about it on?
Sunday night, 3 days later. I was making pasta, and I was back in that meeting, rerunning every possible version of what I could have said instead. Better timing, different words, a completely different joke. The pasta was overcooked, by the way.
The thing is, your brain wasn't trying to torture you. It genuinely thought it was being helpful. Like, if I just replay this enough times, I'll finally figure out what went wrong and feel okay again.
Exactly. It feels like learning. It feels productive. But nothing new comes out of it. It's just the same moment over and over with slightly different lighting.
There's actually a word for that. When you keep mentally chewing on something that's already done, that's called ruminating.
When you say ruminate, you mean like the thinking that goes in circles? It doesn't move forward, it just keeps going?
Exactly. Ruminating is when your mind keeps returning to the same thing, the same moment, the same mistake, without actually processing it or moving past it. Like a song stuck on repeat. And the frustrating part is, it feels like you're doing something useful, but you're really just standing in the same spot.
That is the most accurate description of my Thursday meeting I've ever heard.
I had something like that last year. I said something in a team meeting that came out completely wrong, not what I meant at all. And that night, I was brushing my teeth, and suddenly I was back in that room, replaying the whole thing. Toothbrush in hand, fully gone. My roommate said goodnight to me twice, and I didn't even hear her.
The shower is the worst for this. I have given entire apology speeches to my showerhead. Full speeches, Sophia, with structure.
And what does the showerhead say?
Nothing. It just keeps raining on me while I suffer. The point is, I was beating myself up for days over a joke that the other people in that room had probably forgotten by Friday morning.
When you say beat yourself up, that's such a good expression for it. Because that's exactly what it feels like, right? You wouldn't talk to a friend that way after they made a small mistake. You'd never sit across from someone and say, okay, let's go through this again. What were you thinking?
No, obviously not. If a friend told me about the Thursday joke, I would say, that sounds awkward, but it's fine, move on. And then I'd probably make a worse joke to cheer them up.
But when it's you, the standard is completely different. Suddenly, the same situation that deserves 5 seconds of, oops, okay, moving on, becomes a 3-day internal investigation.
Completely. When it's me, apparently 3 days of pasta-based suffering is the appropriate response.
And the tricky part is that it doesn't feel like punishment while it's happening. It feels like responsibility, like you're taking the mistake seriously, like you're being accountable.
Right, like if I stop thinking about it, I'm somehow letting myself off the hook too easily. Like the responsible thing is to keep going until it stops hurting.
Which is exactly why just let it go is the least helpful advice anyone can give.
Oh, that phrase, just let it go. Said by people who have clearly never ruminated a day in their life.
Or people who mean well, but don't realize that you can't just decide to stop. If letting go were that simple, nobody would be giving apology speeches to their showerhead.
Nobody. Zero people.
So the loop keeps running. And the question isn't really, why can't I just stop? The question is, what is the loop actually doing? And what do we really need instead?
So I've been thinking about something while we were talking. Because the loop, the ruminating, it doesn't feel random. It feels like it's trying to prove something.
That's exactly it. And I think there's a distinction that took me a long time to actually see. There's a difference between thinking I made a mistake and thinking I am a mistake. They sound similar, but they're completely different places to be.
Say more about that.
When you think I made a mistake, you're talking about something you did. It's specific, it's in the past, and at some point it ends. But when you think I am a mistake, even if you'd never use those words, you're using the error as evidence, proof of something that was already wrong with you.
That one landed, because I don't think I walk around saying I am a mistake, but I do think I sometimes use a bad moment to confirm something I already suspected about myself.
I remember finishing a presentation last year. It actually went well. People responded, nothing went wrong. And spending the entire drive home building a list of everything I'd said wrong. Not to improve, just to confirm something I think I'd already decided about myself before I even walked in. That's what I mean. The mistake becomes a data point in a case you've been building against yourself for a long time.
For me, it showed up after a project I led that didn't go well. Not a disaster, just underwhelming. And instead of thinking, okay, what went wrong and what do I do differently, I went straight to, this is who I am. I'm the person who can't deliver. And I stayed there for a while.
That's when the inner critic really takes over.
When you say inner critic, you mean that voice? The one that's specifically yours that knows exactly what to say to make you feel small?
Yes, the inner critic is that internal voice that judges you. And the tricky part is, it sounds very logical. It's not screaming. It's calm and specific, and it uses your own memories against you.
Mine is very calm, very just being honest with you energy.
The most dangerous kind. And here's where I want to push back a little, because I know you've said before that self-criticism has sometimes motivated you, that without it, you might have let things slide.
Yeah, I do think that's real. There were moments where the discomfort of replaying something pushed me to actually change something. So I don't want to pretend it's all bad.
That's fair, but there's a difference between using discomfort to learn and staying in the discomfort because leaving feels like you didn't take it seriously enough. One moves you forward, the other just keeps you in the room.
Okay, yes, that distinction matters.
And that's where self-compassion comes in, which I know sounds like something on a motivational poster.
It does, with a sunset behind it.
I know, but what it actually means, practically, is treating yourself with the same basic decency you'd give a friend. Not pretending the mistake didn't happen, not skipping the discomfort, just not adding punishment on top of pain.
That reframe actually helps, because self-compassion made me think of bubble baths and journaling, but don't add punishment on top of pain. That I understand immediately.
And when you do that, when you stop piling on, you actually bounce back faster, which is the counterintuitive part.
When you say bounce back, you mean recover? Get back to functioning like a normal person?
Exactly. Bounce back means you return to yourself after something knocks you down. And the interesting thing is that people who treat themselves with more kindness after a failure tend to try again sooner. The self-criticism doesn't make you more careful. It just makes the recovery longer.
Which is annoying because the whole point of beating yourself up is supposed to be that it makes you better.
Right. But mostly it just makes you tired.
Something that actually helped me with this, practically, I started asking myself one question after a mistake. What would I tell a friend right now? Not as a trick, just as a genuine redirect. And the answer was always so much kinder than what I was telling myself. So I just tried using that answer on me instead.
That's such a clean way to do it. No poster, no sunset.
No sunset, just a question. And it doesn't fix everything, but it interrupts the loop long enough to breathe, which, after 3 days of pasta-based suffering, is honestly enough.
You know what I keep coming back to from today? The loop isn't the enemy. It's what you do inside the loop. There's a version of it that teaches you something and gets you out. And there's a version that just uses the mistake as a reason to stay small.
And the difference isn't how serious the mistake was, it's whether you're processing it or punishing yourself with it. Which, honestly, is a question I'm going to be asking myself the next time I name someone Daniel.
Which will happen again.
Almost certainly, but maybe next time I'll catch it faster. Not because I was harder on myself, because I was a little less hard on myself.
That's the counterintuitive part that I think is worth sitting with. The kindness isn't the reward you get after you've suffered enough. It's actually what makes the recovery possible in the first place.
Don't add punishment on top of pain.
And maybe that's enough to carry into the week. Not stop criticizing yourself. That's too big. Just that one question. What would I tell a friend right now?
Try that one. It's small, it's free, and it doesn't require a sunset.
That's it. I think that's the whole point.
Okay, let's slow down for a second. We used some really good words today, and we want to make sure they stick. So let's do our word tour.
Starting with the one that opened everything. Ruminate. When you ruminate, your mind keeps returning to the same thought or memory without really moving past it. It's mental chewing. You go over something again and again without getting anywhere new.
For example, she ruminated for days about the comment her manager made. Or, I know I should sleep, but my brain keeps ruminating about that conversation. Repeat. Ruminate.
Ruminate. Next, beat yourself up.
When you beat yourself up, you criticize yourself harshly after a mistake. Not just noticing what went wrong, really going hard on yourself about it.
For example, he knew it was a small error, but he couldn't stop beating himself up. Or, I always beat myself up after social situations, replaying everything I said. Repeat, beat yourself up.
Beat yourself up. Next, let it go.
When you let something go, you stop holding on to it. You stop giving it energy. The problem is that just let it go is easy to say and very hard to actually do.
For example, I know I should let it go, but the conversation keeps coming back. Or, she eventually let it go, but it took longer than she expected. Repeat. Let it go.
Let it go.
And because just let it go is clearly not enough on its own, that's where the next word comes in.
Self-compassion. This one sounds big, but it's simpler than it seems. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same basic kindness you'd give a friend. Not skipping accountability, just not adding punishment on top of pain.
For example, practicing self-compassion doesn't mean ignoring your mistakes. It means not making them worse. Or, he was learning that self-compassion actually helped him recover faster, not slower. Repeat, self-compassion.
Self-compassion. Next, inner critic.
Your inner critic is that internal voice that judges you. The one that's calm, specific, and knows exactly which memories to use against you.
For example, her inner critic was loudest right after she tried something new. Or, recognizing your inner critic doesn't make it disappear, but it gives you a little distance from it. Repeat, inner critic.
Inner critic. And the last one, bounce back.
When you bounce back, you recover after something difficult. You return to yourself after being knocked down. And the interesting thing is that how you treat yourself after a mistake affects how quickly you bounce back.
For example, it took him a while, but he bounced back stronger after the project. Or, self-compassion isn't weakness. It's actually what helps you bounce back faster. Repeat, bounce back.
Bounce back.
Okay, before we go, we still want to hear from you in the comments. What's the smallest mistake you've spent the most time thinking about? Daniel level specifics. We're ready.
And if you want something small to try this week, just one question after your next mistake. What would I tell a friend right now? That's it. You don't have to fix everything. Just try that one.
And if today's episode was useful, please like it and subscribe. It really does help more people find us.
Be kind to yourself this week, especially when you don't think you deserve it. That's actually when it matters most.
This is James.
And this is Sophia. You've been listening to Easy English Conversation. Bye!